Hello, welcome to the Scale Model Club, and on this week's show, Airfix's new Spitfire. Hello, welcome to the show. And this week's show we will be building, it's an extreme build video, so it's all building the new Airfix 172 Supermarine Spitfire Mark 5C. So you get lots of sprues, and your clear plastic comes within its own clear plastic bag so it doesn't get marked. Obviously this is a new build, a new tool, so it's very crisp, and in the box we get all the sprues, decals, put that to one side. We'll have a quick look at the instructions first. So on the first page, standard Airfix, a little bit of information about the Spitfire itself. I quite like the new Airfix instructions, the way they make certain stuff different colours so you know where it goes. And as always, we start with the cockpit. My sharp knife and a set of modelling pliers to cut stuff off. As I've built a couple of Edard models, Spitfires, and I think that Airfix have taken a bit of inspiration from them because it's almost the same type of mould that's in the cockpit. But that's not a bad thing because it now makes the cockpit has a lot of detail, and it's quite nicely to put together. I'm not going to go mad on the cockpit in this one because obviously it's going to be depicted as a flying Spitfire, so the cockpit is going to be closed with a pilot in it. So first time we've done that. Also with the wheels up, first time we've done that too. But as you can see, the sprues are very nice, nicely moulded, no flash. There's a lot of detail. Quite looking forward to building this. We're building, obviously, because this is part of the North Africa diorama we're doing. I'm doing the Spitfire, which is on the front of the box, which is the African version, or top version, which has like the deeper belly under the nose. I'm assuming it's for a bigger radiator, let more air in. But that was quite awkward. Really small bit. There we go, dropped it already. It was a nice model, went together quite well. There are a couple of issues with it. I will show you those as we get there. And I'm not sure I actually filmed my way out of them, but I'll tell you about it when we get there. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope everybody's still staying safe. Obviously in the UK we're back on another lockdown, so keep calm and build more models. Make sure you all like and subscribe and push that notification button for me. It helps the channel out a lot. So as you can see, there's an awful lot of small parts for the cockpit, but it does add an awful lot more detail than the old cockpits did. The only thing I think that Airfix should consider now is obviously putting a little bit of photo etch in there, a bit like the Edard done. Maybe seat belts and a cockpit. But the whole video is the straight build of the Spitfire, because I thought it'd be quite nice to see all the bits and it all built up, and so we all know exactly what we get in the kit. I've never actually built the desert version of this because I've never really liked the front of it, but I must admit I do like anything with teeth on the front, so that's what drew me to it. So this is the part that's new to Airfix, I think, and is a lot more like the Edard thing. You get the sides of the cockpit as a separate entity, so you build the cockpit up as like a little sub-assembly and then fit it into the aircraft, whereas before you used to sort of glue the bits onto the side of the airframe. A little bit more fiddly, but I must admit that all the bits fitted really nicely. There was no fit issues whatsoever, even though really small. So here are the gas tanks, air tanks, I'm assuming. Just try and get that in there to see if you can see it, because it goes in between the two strut holes that you can see there. Just didn't want to play ball. So that's the air tanks fitted. Now we need all different pieces to go, and there's the, I don't know the names of half this stuff, side struts shall we say. So this is the back piece that holds the seat, so that goes in first by the instructions. The only thing I will say is that the armour plating behind the pilot is a little bit on the thick side. I'm not too worried about it because obviously we're not going to see it, but I think if I was having the cockpit open I might try and sand that down a bit. So it's the same sort of overly egg-shaped frame that goes the other side of the air tanks. That fits nicely into that hole there. Now the next piece, I think you find it's just a dashboard, instrument panel should we say. If I was doing this cockpit open, I would have quite happily have painted this separately and then fitted decals to it. As we're not going to see much of the cockpit, I'm just going to glue it straight in and then paint the top bit black. I think I dry brushed it with a bit of silver so that you could see the dials, but with the pilot in the way and the canopy set, you're not going to see much of it. I will do another one with wheels down, kind of canopy open, so we can all see the cockpit that you build, because it's a fantastic cockpit. It's a lot of detail in there, and it's a big improvement on what Airfix used to do. The whole model it's a really nice model, I must admit. Really makes me want to try the other two models that I've seen that come out. Is it the Sherman Firefly and the Tiger? I'm not a big tank person, but they're 172, not 176. And it'd just be nice to see an improvement on the Sherman, since the Sherman that's you buy at the moment, that's 176, is from like the 1960s, and it's just an awkward old model to build. Not as awkward as the Churchill, but if you've built a Churchill, you'll all know what I mean. So this is where it gets a little awkward. Your pedals just slide in, but it's designed so well that literally as you slide it in, it slots into place beautifully. I was very surprised. I thought that was going to be more awkward than that. I know that the pedals I struggle with in the Edard one. Next up is the seat. Because the control column was already, I think, glued to the pedals, and the seat is like a two-stage arrangement. So you have like two bits of seat that you glue the upper part into the lower part, and it does make it look like a really nice seat rather than a single molded. Oops. Mind your fingers here. So the top part sits nicely on the bottom part, and you get like a really nice looking seat. And then that piece slots really nicely into the cockpit. So as you can see, it's building up to be a really nice cockpit with a lot of details, and it's a big improvement on what Airfix used to do. Really enjoyed building it. So once you've got the seat in, that's pretty much the cockpit built up, and the next part would be the other side of the cockpit, which is like the other wall that fits on the other side to make the whole cockpit like a little mini sub-assembly on its own. And there it is there. I think it's a speed controller that glues onto the other side. So you take this, and there's a little bit to glue on there. And once that's glued on, that's the two parts of the cockpit done, and we can move on to the next part. There it is. I think that's the speed controller. I just had to have a quick look at the instructions to see which way round it goes. You'd think I'd know, wouldn't you, by now, because I've built enough of them. There goes the speed controller. Now I'm going to mount these two on some cocktail sticks and some blue tack, so I've got something to hold them by when I paint them. And then we're going to paint the... I'll make a bit of a mistake here, but you'll realise it a bit later on in the video. So I'm going to paint the inside of the wings. This is interior green colour from Big Ammo. It's part of an interior kit which comes with a wash and a dust. Can't get the name of it now. Anyway, it comes as a kit, and pigment. That's the one. So it comes with a pigment and a wash and that green. It's for World War II English cockpits. So you paint the whole thing. So like I said, I painted the whole thing green and the other one green. It should have a silver. Some parts of the cockpit should be silver, but I didn't paint. I painted that in by brush that you don't see, and also I painted the cockpit, the or black, the control panel black, so that you could, but I didn't make a lot of effort because you're not going to see any of it. So this is the wash you get with the kit. This is, obviously it says English, I think it's European wash. Oh no, it's not, it's interior wash. It's actually called interior wash. And then I just painted that all over the model, and it just settles in all the little recesses, gives it a nice look of dirt, makes all the little bits, all the little mouldings stand out. Usually if you're going to see this, I would then dry brush over the top of this like the green again, so that the highlighted areas would come out, but like I said, I'm not going mad because you're not going to see much of it. So this is a good big build video if you want to put the cockpit on, the pilot in and the wheels up. So that's the cockpit done, painted, washed, fuselage painted, washed. The top halves of the wings, or the bits you're going to see from the wheel arches, is painted. And we can move on with putting more of it together. Right, so at this stage, I'll show you, this is, whilst the paint dries on the fuselage, we're going to build up the bays for the landing gear. Now, this is also new for Airfix. They don't normally put these sort of bits in here, and that's also a lot like the Edard model, but they look fine once you've got them in. What they do need to do, it would be nice, is to put a little bit of detail on the inside of those bits that you put on the wings. So the cockpit is now together, stuck the two sides together, so the cockpit is one little sub-assembly, and that just glues into the bottom half of the fuselage. And it's nice now because that's all in the right position for when you want to put the other side on, because obviously fitting the two fuselages together is always a bit of a problem because none of the bits line up properly, and just had to hold that while the glue's set. Run some glue down the back of it. So yeah, so now it just has a square block to glue to rather than all the stays. Fuselage went together very well, no gaps, no nothing. Just nicely clicked together. So we'll get some glue on that, some pegs on it. And we can move on to building the wings up. I was going to do a tutorial a little bit on painting the pilot, but I struggled because the pilot is so small, the camera wouldn't pick a lot of the bits up, so I might do a separate one in the future. But generally, how I painted him, how I imagine an RAF pilot would be. So he's got a brown jacket on, blue trousers, yellow life jacket and a brown hat. But I'm not very good at figures. I haven't done many figures, so fitted that together, clamped it together with the pegs, and then put the glue on the inside to let it run through the gap, and that is pretty much the fuselage together. Let that dry. I just had a quick look. I was genuinely surprised as to how well it went together, but I think it is the addition of the new cockpit design. Right now here, this is nice, I thought, of Airfix. They've moulded bits around the guns on the wings so that obviously in the kit they don't get bent or broken off. I thought that was a brilliant idea, not seen that anywhere else. Now this is obviously where you see I'd got this a little bit on the wrong side because I painted the wrong wings, but decided to just keep calm and carry on and worry about it when I was going to put the wheels in. So I'll clean the main wing off, and I think the other wings are for the clipped wing version, because there's obviously a clipped wing version, a normal wing version, and an extended wing version, but this kit only contains the one for the clipped wings and the normal wings. So a bit of glue on the edge, fit the wing in. Wing fitted absolutely perfectly. Didn't really need to use pegs on this, but I used them so that just out of habit, if I'm honest. As you see, always test fit stuff. I don't know if I've ever said that before, but I always hold so I sort of know where the part's going to go and whether it fits nicely, whether you've got to shave anything off. So it's a good idea when you're modelling to try and test fit stuff together beforehand. I know it's not always possible, but it's worth a shot. A little bit of extra glue around the edges. And like I said, I didn't really need any pegs, so I put them on anyway, just because why not? Better safe than sorry. And that's the wings together. Went together very nicely. Everything has been really well designed so far and a pleasure to put together. Although I am a fan of Airfix Spitfires, as we all know. Right, so cockpit's dried together, wings are dried. Now this is the massive problem that I got. When the wings together, there is a massive wing gap. Can you see that moving backwards and forwards? It's an absolutely massive gap, and I wasn't 100% sure what to do with it. So what I did in the end was I glued the wings to the fuselage, and I paid attention to the back. So I made sure that the back was right, so that the fuselage was definitely in the middle, like there. So that's right. Held it in place and glued it there. Now, what I didn't pick up on the camera is I put a little bit of glue down the two side struts, and then I used some tape to bend the wings up so that the gap at the wing fuselage disappeared. It worked quite nicely. It hasn't ruined the look of the aircraft because it doesn't look like I've bent the wings, but it's a bit disappointing when everything else on the Spitfire is absolutely A1, but that bit is just awful. The second part I found that I didn't like is the fitting of this air scoop on the bottom. Doesn't fit very nicely either, and it has a massive mould line because you have to glue two bits together, and it's just when the rest of the model is so good, the front part and the wings just awful. But we did get over them, so I think I put even though I bent them up with a bit of tape, I think I put a little bit of filler in, or you can still see a bit of a gap there, but used contact filler, Revel contact to glue the cockpit on. As you can see, I've got my pilot in there, and I've also put the propeller together. It is the wrong shaped propeller for the aircraft, but I like the pointy prop. And that's pretty much the aircraft built. So come back for part 2 of painting the Desert Spitfire. Make sure you like and subscribe.